Hi, my name is Nina, and today I will share an incident happened with me in a famous bar located in the city of Perth, Western Australia. It completely shocked me, and even today it makes me think, was it real or just my mind seeing and hearing things? This incident occurred in a well-known pub located in Perth City, Australia, during the final months of 2020 when COVID was winding down. Though there wasn't much fear, the lingering effects of COVID made job hunting challenging. After spending the entire COVID period at home, my husband and I were determined to get our lives back on track. Both of us sought early morning or late night jobs, given that my husband already had a second job during the day. I stumbled upon a cleaning job for a couple in a famous pub not far from our suburb. The task had to be completed between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m., just before the pub staff began their day at 8 a.m. It took about 1.5 hours for both of us, and the pay was decent, so we decided to take on this cleaning job. The pub had a mix of old and new architecture, with the front side, the main entrance for customers, being modern. However, at the back, where the kitchen, stores, etc. were located, it retained the old building's charm. This area served as the entrance for staff, deliveries, cleaners, etc. The first 3 to 4 weeks went smoothly. We usually started our work around 5 a.m. and finished by 6:30 or 7 a.m. However, one night my husband fell ill with fever and cold symptoms. We informed the manager, who advised him to rest and get a COVID test. Until it was confirmed that he didn't have COVID, he was to stay away from work. With my husband having to undergo testing and await the results, the responsibility of handling the job alone fell on me for those couple of days. On the first day, aware that it would take me longer to finish the entire task before 8 a.m., I decided to start an hour earlier, arriving at around 4 a.m. The main entrance for this building is at the back, where you park your car, and the back door opens to a long, dark gallery with stores on one side, leading to the cleaner's room and then the main hall. To reach the main area, you have to traverse this long hallway when entering from the back side. Since there are stores on one side and kitchen walls on the other, with no windows and automatic lights, it becomes pitch dark when the lights go off. On that day, my only concern was finishing the work alone on time. I quickly headed to the cleaner's room, grabbed my vacuum cleaner, and began vacuuming the main area. I don't use earphones or music, preferring complete peace. I would turn off any screens if they were on, making the only sounds the vacuum and the hum of refrigerators in the kitchen. As I vacuumed, after about 10 or 15 minutes, I heard a noise, perhaps a child's light scream. Though focused on my task, I stopped momentarily, turned off the vacuum, but after a few minutes, resumed my work without paying much attention. Around 6 or 7 minutes later, another louder noise caught my attention, seemingly emanating from the kitchen in front of the hall. This time, a sense of fear crept in. I switched off my backpack vacuum, placed it down, and stood there, unsure of what to do next. The idea of checking the kitchen crossed my mind. The only thing on my mind was that I might have forgotten to close the back entrance door, and someone had entered, now trying to scare me. I stood there for a couple of minutes, waiting for another noise to confirm if it was real or just my imagination. There was no further sound. To be safer, I checked the camera on the screen displayed in their bar section, but I couldn't see anyone. I decided to ignore whatever I heard, focusing on completing the work quickly and heading home. About 30 minutes later, while cleaning the restrooms, I heard a loud bang, as if people were angry and throwing things around. I couldn't make out any words they were saying. This startled me, and I abandoned everything, rushing from the hallway to the back parking area. My brain wasn't functioning properly as I stood near my car, trying to figure out what was happening and what I should do. The work needed to be done, but I couldn't bring myself to go inside. I tried calling my husband, but his phone was off. My friend didn't answer her phone either. At one point, I considered calling the manager, but embarrassment held me back. I stood there, feeling helpless, unable to gather the courage to finish my work. I stood there for, I don't know, maybe an hour until it wasn't dark anymore. Then a vegetable delivery driver arrived to deliver veggies, which gave me the courage to go back inside and finish the work as much as possible. I entered with him, didn't say anything, but my frightened expression must have been noticeable. He asked if I was okay, and I just replied with a hesitant yes. Lacking the courage to spend another hour doing detailed cleaning, I tried to finish as much as I could in the next 20 minutes, as the delivery man was also in the pub unloading stuff for some time. After that, I rushed outside. I had decided that if any complaints came about the work that day, I would explain that I was alone and couldn't manage all the tasks properly by myself. I reached home, but I was restless the whole day. I kept waiting, anticipating a call from the manager about the work. Moreover, the thought of going back alone the next day added to my anxiety. Strangely, I didn't share this incident with my husband. I called my friend, hoping she could accompany me the next day, but she was finishing her night shift at the hospital at 6 a.m. I tried to convince myself that it wasn't real, just my mind playing tricks on me because I was alone. I decided to go in an hour later, around 6 a.m., and finish the work by 8 a.m. And I found myself back at the pub. Today, I had resolved and made up my mind to focus solely on doing my job as quickly as possible and nothing else. I began my work, and as expected, within only 10 to 15 minutes, I heard a loud noise. A human voice. I'm not entirely sure, but it sounded like someone calling a person from a distance. I didn't want to admit it to myself and become frightened, but deep down, I knew I heard someone call my name. Shocked, I stood there shivering with my eyes full of tears for reasons unknown. My mind struggled to process anything. After a few minutes, I gathered myself and continued mopping the floor because today I had no other option. For the next 15 to 20 minutes, it was complete silence, and I relaxed, thinking it was over, whatever it was, and I could finish my work today. Suddenly, I heard a loud noise, like a door closing and opening very loudly 2 or 3 times. I rushed to the kitchen as the noise was coming from that side. As soon as I reached from the bar area to the kitchen, the milkshake machine, placed right outside the kitchen entrance in the hallway, and the milkshake mugs stacked on top of it like glasses on top of each other, had one line of those mugs thrown down in front of me. It was as if someone pushed them with so much anger, and those steel mugs fell all over the floor with loud noises. Now, this was the end for me. I didn't have time to think, and I started to run from the hallway to reach outside as soon as I could. In complete panic, I could clearly hear someone running along with me on the rooftop. The footsteps were so loud, like heavy metal hitting the roof, and it followed me until the entrance. As I reached outside, I couldn't breathe for a while. I was shaking so badly and crying like a small child. Somehow, I made it to my car, and in that moment in my life, I felt so helpless. I was stuck. I couldn't tell anyone what was happening, and I couldn't do the job, which was also important. I sat in my car for a while, then, without thinking and torturing myself any longer, I drove home. I texted my manager that I was unwell and unable to do the cleaning. My husband wasn't yet very well, so I knew the next day I had to go alone again. I made up my mind and decided to quit this job. The same day, I started getting a fever, and it was the worst fever I've ever had. For some hours, I was just shivering and nearly unconscious. I haven't shared this incident with anyone, and I don't try to remember it myself either.
Thanks for watching.